Young, what would I say to my younger self? Baby, we don't need nobody else. Yeah, we all we need, and God as a bag, baby, yes, indeed. Young, what would I say to my younger self? Oh, baby, we don't need nobody else. Cause we all we need, and ain't got a bag, baby, yes, indeed.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 5 of the I Am Music podcast. Today I wanted to talk about this song that was the hardest song to write for me, right? It's not going to be too long of a story, but I just thought it's important to share because, I've encountered, throughout my whole musical journey, sometimes, not that it's fine, right? It's fine when people is like, if they're not feeling something, sometimes they don't want to force something, but I guess for me, I always appreciated the challenge, right? And I guess I might as well tell you why, right? Like when I was growing up, right? Everybody was still trying to get signed, this and that. So there were times where, there we are at a studio, you know what I mean? Like we might not get another chance, right? And we always had that in mind, right? What happens if you meet Dr. Dre? What happens if this, that? And you gotta spit on the spot or you gotta write something on the spot, right? And that happened to me a few times where it was like, like once, for example, we had met this guy who was like a millionaire, right? And me and my friend, we went to the studio to record. And at that point, we hadn't been recorded at anything that expensive yet, right? It was easily maybe, I don't know of $500,000 of equipment, but probably close or half of half, right? Maybe like $250,000 worth of equipment. It was like top of the line. And we were getting put on this compilation that had all like the rappers that I had grown up listening to, right? Some of the guys from Bone Thugs, I think rapping Forte, Spice One, Badass, R.I.P. Badass. He was one of my top 10 at least for sure, top 10. But he was on the album too. All these artists that, and here we are, me and my friend. I think I don't know, maybe I was 18 or something like that, right? And so we have this opportunity, and I think even on the beat, right? It was like one of Ice Cube's producers, right? One of the guys that had produced for Ice Cube, even. So, like, I had to write on the spot, you know what I mean? And there was no like, oh, let me take this home and nothing. It's like, damn. I remember even that, like going hungover. And then after the studio session, right? As we're leaving, like, I even threw up out there, like, on the street. I don't think I'm almost 100% sure I didn't throw up on the guy's driveway. I made it to the street and I threw up in the street. And the guy was like, oh, wow. It was, I mean, I wasn't embarrassed at the time, right? Because I didn't care. I was young and I was like, shoot. But whatever we had to do to try to, because I think we got invited last minute to the studio. So I don't even think we were gonna go. And it was just like, hey, boom, come down to the studio. And we went, and it's like things like that, right? We had to write on the spot. There was even a time, I think, at that same studio, they had like a beat from Daz Dillinger, who was like my top 3 producers, right? It was like, sometimes interchangeable, right? But DJ Quick, Dre, and Daz were my top 3 favorite producers. So there was a Daz Dillinger beat, and I wish I had a copy of that song, right? But it was like I had to write on the spot, and then I was able to be on a Daz Dillinger, beat, right? And through that connection that we had, so things like that, right? I know I'm going all the way back with this story, but yeah, just like that. So I grew up in that time where you had to, like, right, you had to whatever, whether you didn't really say like, oh, this, I don't like this beat. It was like we're trying to create an opportunity, right? Get signed, something like that, right? It wasn't like nowadays where everyone has their own computer, everyone has the technology, YouTube, social media to promote their own stuff. Back then, it was all about trying to get signed. So I learned that on, right, like to force yourself, even if that's not the style of the beat, the this and that. It was more of a, okay, like let me see how. And even that, right? Like I think I got stuck maybe with like, my friend probably threw like one bar, like I was like, oh, what do I do? Like just stuck on one bar, right? Like one bar, you know, like that's nothing. Like nowadays, I would never get stuck like with one bar. But even then, right, just having someone like damn, what can I say here? You know what I mean? Like that. So, but that you'll have someone to help you or whatever, but you gotta get it done, right? So, anyways, fast forward to you know, to this song that I had to do, right? I had made this beat, right? I had made a beat, like I shared in the story about the Lorraine song. Lorraine was originally a beat I made, and then eventually I got it because I wanted it to be like live, right? So I got the live guitar, everything in the studio, and so it went in a different direction, but the same. I had made all these beats that I would write songs to, right? So I did have already all these songs. Like most of the songs I ended up recording at first were from beats I had written to beats I had made, right? But I knew the beats weren't like at that top quality, right? So I would get them redone. So this one I wanted to do something different, right? I think I had already done like a rock music, reggae, hip hop in Spanish. I was like, I really don't got any kind of club stuff. And I remembered I had written a song. It was kind of like like a Latin type feel, right? So, I like a club type song, right? And obviously my beat wasn't up to par for what I was used to at that point. So, I took it to the studio. I was like, hey, could you, I already had the hook, right? So I had the whole hook. When I wrote it, I pictured someone like Elvis Crespo. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Elvis Crespo. Like, he used to have this song. What is it? Suavemente. I don't know if he's the Suavemente guy. Suavemente, something like that, or whoever sings that. It was like that kind of feel, right? Besame, something like that. I don't know, but it was like that kind of like vibe. I wrote the song like that, right, for a singer to sing like that. So, anyways, once we got the new beat, the hook went perfect. I got this guy, at the studio. I asked, hey, who kind of sounds like this guy? And they brought me this guy, which ended up sounding more like a Latino Michael Jackson. I mean, this dude could sing, right? And I'll play the song right here, but this guy could sing. And even it was crazy because I would tell everyone, man, I got this guy that sounds like a Latino Michael Jackson. And then he actually ended up doing this whole Michael Jackson tribute, um, like out in Europe, right? And even that, when we released the single, it had downloads in France, Germany, like out there, like Europe. It had a few in the US, but it was more like out towards Europe. And I think because he had a following out there, right? The singer. So, anyways, you know, after that, like I was trying to do the old verses I had for the song, the way I had written the verses. I was trying to do those for this song, but it didn't go anymore because the beat had changed, right? And so they just weren't going. And like at the studio, straight out, like the guy I was recording with, David Salas. He's the one that made the beat. He looks at me and he's like he just straight out looks at me like, damn, sorry, dude. Like it was sounding horrible or whatever. It just wasn't going. Maybe not horrible, but it just didn't go, right? It just didn't go. The flow didn't go with that beat. So he even suggested, he was like, he's like, why don't you like try listening to like Lil Wayne or something? And that's kind of how, how I was like, all right, I've never at that point, see, like I actually like Lil Wayne, right? I don't want to go into the whole story of before. I kind of didn't like him, right? I didn't like Lil Wayne. I even said something in a song before, like once, right? About I could count on one hand how many people I actually talked about in songs because I never really liked doing that, right? I don't know why. I mean, I know why I did it before. I'll make a whole video about that, right? Um, you know what I mean? But yeah. So Lil Wayne, he suggested, why don't you listen to some Lil Wayne? See, like, because I think at the time he was popular, right? Because I forgot when I released this single. So at that point, Lil Wayne was pretty up there. I think he was in his prime, right? Not that he's as good still, but that's when he was like at his prime, meaning popular, right? So like, why don't you listen to some Lil Wayne or something like that? And I was like, all right, fine. So I take the song home and then I write like the first verse comes out. Cool. I was like, all right. It worked, right? It worked. But then it wasn't, I couldn't even think of a second verse because I never really wrote club songs. So I was like, damn, what do I talk about? Right. Like that's how disconnected from club songs I was, right? I was like, I don't know what to write about. I'm not a club type person. I don't go to clubs and this and that. So it was like, I just couldn't think of nothing. It was all sound. It wasn't sounding good to me. So the first verse came out good, but then after that, verse 2, nah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, until verse 8. So I ended up using the first and the 8th verse that I wrote. The song only has 2 verses, and I wrote perfect, like the hook, and then I wrote him a singing verse for the singer, right? So I wrote all that, like the whole song I wrote, right? The singing parts, everything. So I was able to write the singing, no problem, but the verses were like killing me. So anyways, the first verse ended up being perfect, and then until the 8th. But I almost wanted to give up, man. I was like, dude, what the hell? But I just kept going. I was just stubborn, like, no, I gotta finish this. And all that stuff was good from all my experience forcing myself to write stuff. And even this took me to another level with writing, because being able to write something where you're just like, man, like anyone else would have probably been like, dude, I like forget this song or something, right? Like, but I was stubborn, like, nah, I'm gonna figure this out one way or another, right? And yeah, and hey, thanks to listening to Lil Wayne and hearing his flow, I was able to adopt a new style that I made it my own, but I gotta give credit where credit is due, right? Obviously, I studied kind of Lil Wayne's flow, and it worked for this club song, right? And I'm sure he had club. I don't know if I listened to like a club song of his or what, right? But something like that, and it just worked out. And yeah, that's how I was able to write this song, right? So I really appreciate it because it was so hard to write. And it's I don't have a whole lot of club songs, right? By now, yeah, but back then that was my first one. So I'm gonna play it right here. It's called Si Quieres Bailar, right? Like if you want to dance. Because originally, well, the hook, it goes Si quieres bailar conmigo, right? I forgot how, I can't even remember how it goes right now, but I'm gonna play it right here. All right. Oh, you didn't think we could flip it on your ass, huh? Old architect JP. Salas track. Come on,
Si quieres bailar conmigo, acérquese más, yo le pido. Hay que ser dueños del destino. En la cama la castigo por siendo tan sexy. Oye mami, ven pa' aquí. Que esos dos cuerpos reducir a solo uno conmigo.
All my ladies to the flow. Yeah, I said to the flow. Run, run, this your song. Tell me, did I get it wrong? Like you got all dressed up to what? Stand around with your cup. Drink, drink, suck, suck. Nah, baby, wait, hold up. See, I see you dancing in your place. It's written on your face. Wanna jump out your clothes? Well, take them off, girl, take them off. With that big old butt, I can see all your asses from the front. You got a thorough strut like a prize-winning horse worth $1 million, yeah.
Si quieres bailar conmigo, acérquese más, yo le pido. Hay que ser dueños del destino. En la cama la castigo por siendo tan sexy. Oye mami, ven pa' aquí. Esos dos cuerpos reducir a solo uno con unir. A solo uno con unir. A solo uno con unir.
Girlfriend spent the day. Wait, hold up, what was her name? It's okay, I'm on fire. Thought I quit and retire. I ain't done, let's get higher. Have some fun with the choir. I could sing, don't believe all the voice like mira mommy, that's me. Honestly, I achieve things that they can't reach. Mountain peaks, pinnacles. You wanna have sex, drugs, and rock and roll, yeah. Well, let's go, get her done. Won't stop till we see the sun. In the club, throw 'em up and pull out your titties and you feel a little buzz, yeah.
Si quieres bailar conmigo, acérquese más, yo le pido. Hay que ser dueños del destino. En la cama la castigo por siendo tan sexy. Oye mami, ven pa' aquí. Esos dos cuerpos reducir a solo uno con unir. A solo uno con unir. A solo uno con unir. Eres tan maravillosa, de tus pies hasta tu boca. Ven, acércate a mí, yo te hago sonreír. Cuando miro en tus ojos, yo me pierdo en tu rostro. Mi amor no tiene fin, solo vivo para ti. Si quieres bailar conmigo, acérquese más, yo le pido.
right, so that was Si Quieres Bailar featuring JP Castillo, amazing singer from Costa Rica. Uh, it's funny because I worked with a few singers from Costa Rica, and I was like, so they left a really good impression for me. I'm like, man, these like they could sing like nobody's business, right? So, JP, that's the only song I got to do with him. But like I said, he's an amazing, amazing singer. Um, I kind of lost contact with him after, right? It's been years. I know we kept in contact for a while. I know we were gonna collaborate again at some point. I was looking for someone else for another song, and I don't know, maybe I didn't end up doing the song I had reached out to him for after, right? But I mean, he's definitely one of the best singers I've worked with, right? He just has his vocal range is insane, right? He has amazing talent, right? And I know he was doing his own thing, right? So I'll put links so you guys could find him, right? I'm gonna look him up. I don't know if he's still doing music. It's been years since I spoke with him, probably even before the pandemic. So it's been years since I spoke with him. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, right? This was my hardest song to write. And while I'm at it, I guess I could share another story. I could have made a whole video about this, but once, I had a friend that took me to a place where, like, thankfully for that, right? Like, for being able to write on the spot, right? Forcing yourself to do things that are out of your comfort zone. That's a popular term now, right? But that's how you grow. That's how you get better when it's not really your thing, but you try anyways. If it doesn't, at the end, you don't got nothing to lose, right? It didn't work out. It didn't work out, right? It's like the story of Badass, since I mentioned Badass, like when he got on the Tupac song, right? When Badass got on the Tupac song, that crazy got me going crazy. Um, I guess all the outlaws were there, or some of them, and they weren't coming up with nothing. And Badass, I don't know if he wrote something on the spot or he already had something that went with it. I forgot how the story goes, but he was able to get in there, and boom, he ended up on that famous Tupac song "Crazy" from the Machiavelli album. And I got to be in the studio with Badass before, and back then I was young, I was too like proud, right? I should have told them like, hey man, you're one of my favorite artists, but I was just like that, like cool. But he was a genius to watch him work, right? Like on the spot, he was writing some stuff. It was pretty cool to experience that. To experience one of like my top 10 rappers to or artists to see him working, right? So that was an honor. But yeah, real quick, the story was that, yeah, once a friend took me to this house, and it was it was DJ Quick's old house, right? He had sold it to one of his friends, but they still had the studio there that DJ Quick had. So anyways, I was able to, like, they had a song, right? And I think the song had like 4 people rapping on it, and then the guy singing the hooks. And the guy singing the hooks, it was his song, right? But then it had 4 people rapping on it. And they just said, like, who's next? And like when I got there, I just heard the beat and I just started writing something, right? I just started writing something to it, like on the spot. So when they said who's next, I just I just went in the booth. I was like, I got something, I'll go next. And then I was able to get in there. And when I came out, people were showing me love. So I don't know whatever happened in that song, but this was the cool thing about it. After, like, one of the OGs was there, right? Like some older man, and he was like, he's all, man, he's all, legends have recorded in there. He's all, Easy recorded in that booth, DJ Quick, Scarface from the Ghetto Boys. Uh wow, someone now, it was DJ Quick, Scarface, Easy, Tupac. So I was like, man, I just got to record in the same booth as Tupac, Easy, Scarface, DJ Quick, and tons of, I don't know how many people DJ Quick recorded in that spot. But I was just like, man, like, thanks to me being like, bam, like, okay, like, I don't care, like any beat, right? I don't care. Like, I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find the pattern. I'm gonna do it one way or another. So you always got to challenge yourself, right? So I'm just gonna say that for any artist that, if any young artists watch this, and maybe they're that kind that, nah, I'm not feeling it, or this and that. Maybe it's something to think about, right? Never know when you're gonna have an opportunity like that will mean more than anything, right? To me, that meant everything. Like, what? Like, did I really? Because I think at that point, I had even stopped making music for a while. And then a friend hit me up all random, like, hey man, come with me to the studio, whatever. And then we go and I'm like, shut the hell, like DJ Quay, that's my favorite freaking producer. Are you kidding me? Like, we're at his it was his old house. I was like, no freaking way. So I was like, yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better experience. So I'll just end it with that, right? Just to say, like, this was the hardest song for me to ever write, right? Like, I had to write 8 verses just to come out with the 2, but the hook and all that, it was pretty easy. I already had it from when I had written it to my beat, and that's it. All right, peace. Hope you guys are all well and all that good stuff. Peace. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you're just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You're just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.